we are back with a little bit more Diddy news. Diddy is back into it, man, and it's getting crazy, y'all. It's getting very, very crazy. And the thing about it is, since the last time I got in contact with you all about the Diddy case, he had just been getting arrested. And as you know, 55 now year-old mogul Sean Puffy Combs has been arrested for trafficking and conspiracy to use his business funds in a illegal enterprise. So I want to give you guys all of what's going on with Mr. Combs and all the things that we have coming up. So with that, I know you guys have seen all the things that have gone on with Cassie, Kid Cudi. We're going to have all of that here, all the evidence. And before we get too far ahead, I want to get you guys to see the timeline of everything, because this is just from the time that he was arrested, and I'm trying to be very thorough with this, so I hope that you guys like it. I myself, have been traveling, so it definitely took me. I myself have been traveling for a while, so it definitely took me a while to get a hold of all of this information. But as you can see on the screen here, so we have in November, if it's a little hard to see for you guys, I'll bring it up. Let's zoom it on in for you. Right? So, beginning of the timeline, we have the timeline of the Diddy allegations. November 23, Combs' ex-girlfriend Cassie files a lawsuit alleging sexual abuse, trafficking, and violence over the course of a 10-year time frame. The civil case is settled the very next day, but two other women file lawsuits accusing the rapper of sexual abuse, and shortly after, which he denies, okay? So in March 2024, the Combs properties were searched and criminal investigations by Homeland Security was made public. It emerges 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant are among the items seized during the raids, in which the rapper's lawyer calls a gross use of military force. Now, we're going to be able to see all of that as we go along, so make sure you stay in here to the very end, because I got a lot of evidence. We have the stuff that came out. If you already seen all this stuff, believe me, you'll be in for a treat, because I have a little bit more than what you're used to, because I even have the up-to-date, minute-to-minute interactions of what's going on in the courthouse. How many of your YouTube, how many of the people on YouTube can say that they're doing that? Not many. All right, y'all. So in May 2024, footage shows Combs attacking Cassie in a hallway in 2016 is published by CNN. The video is closely mirrors an assault described by her in her lawsuit. 2 days later, Combs posts a video on social media apologizing for the inexcusable assault. So as we fast forward a little bit, so he got arrested in September 2024, was arrested at the Park Hyatt Hotel in Manhattan, New York, and criminal charges are announced the following day. The rapper appears in court, pleads not guilty to all charges, but is denied bail. Further appeals for bail in the following months are also denied, and he is held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn ahead of trial. So this is around the time where I really got into it. It was around the September-October time frame, and I want to say the allegations were going very high, and there was a lot of things that we weren't able to see up front, but we're now able to see now that the court proceedings are happening. So I'm going to jump along, because it's just a lot of the accusing. Then we have in January, we have the initial criminal indictment. The indictment is amended for the third time. So this is the waiting game that we were waiting for. So now we jump over to May 2025, you guys. And after a week of jury selection, the trial gets underway, starting with the opening statement followed by the testimonies of a heavily pregnant Cassie, who alleges years of physical, sexual, mental abuse, and says that she was forced into having freak-offs. X sections with male escorts. Her mother is also among the prosecution witness, along with former ex-workers, former employees of Combs, and the rapper Kid Cudi. And I want to get into that definitely as we get along, because I was a big fan. I am a big fan of Kid Cudi. And it's just a lot to go with that all going on. Okay, so who briefly dated Cassie briefly dated Kid Cudi in 2011. During the trial's third week, Cassie gives birth, and Mia, a former Combs employee, alleged victims of actual assault, also takes the stand. Okay, so now we are heading into our fourth week. The trial hears from Jane, who, and this is now, this current month, we hear from Jane, who dated Combs between 2021 and his arrest in 2024. Her allegations are similar to Cassie, and that she was coerced into drug-fueled, hours-long X sessions with male escorts. So we're going to get into the validity of all of these things as we speak, but I just feel as though we have to see the burden of proof will be in the works. So as we get along with this, let me know down in those comments if you're liking this type of content, if you are really here to see if Diddy did the damn thing. Let me know. Hit that like button for me, and please share this with anybody you know and love that needs to hear what's going down in Diddy Town. Okay, so I'm going to share this one video real fast. We'll finish this off.
ABC News Live, week 3 of the Sean Diddy Combs trial has wrapped.
This is the most up-to-date information on what's going on with the trial, so let's jump right into it without further ado.
And we should note this show will contain graphic content from the courtroom today. 5 witnesses testified this week, 2 former employees, a Los Angeles police officer, fire department investigator, and a celebrity stylist. The latest witness on the stand testifying under the pseudonym Mia, recounting her time as Combs' former assistant. Mia alleged working for Combs was chaotic, toxic, and dependent on his whim. She told the jury she feared she couldn't tell him no, testifying, "I felt I had to. I obeyed Puff's orders." Mia also saying Combs sexually assaulted her more than once, leaving her feeling terrified and confused and ashamed and scared. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. His defense team says any sexual encounters were
So as you guys know, he is on trial for all of these allegations, and it's saying that, so this is the Mia that I was mentioning earlier, who feels as though similar things have been going on, and they've been telling, if you didn't know that, they've been saying that Diddy's been in the courthouse making very menacing nods to both juries and witnesses. So he's been refrained from looking at pretty much anybody, so that's why you kind of got him looking towards his lawyers. But this is very, like, Diddy, man. What are you going to do? Because this is getting a little out of hand.
Sensual if convicted. Combs faces the possibility of life in prison. Let's start in Lower Manhattan, outside the federal courthouse. That's where we find Aaron Katersky, our chief investigative correspondent. Mia was back on the stand today for the second day in a row. Today she faced cross-examination. What happened?
She faced a tough cross-examination when she was confronted, Eva, with her own social media posts, and they were flattering about Sean Combs. They called him everything from legend to her mentor, her inspiration, her rock star unicorn, whatever that is, just entirely flattering. And the defense showed these and then asked, that's the guy that traumatized you? that's the guy you said repeatedly sexually assaulted you? And facing those incredulous questions from defense attorney Brian Steele, Eva, Mia simply said, yes, I was in an abusive relationship. She explained that she was traumatized and almost sounded like she was leading this double life, concealing what she testified happened to her in this toxic and traumatizing work experience, but also being a good corporate soldier and promoting Combs when required on social media.
So seeing how this case, unlike a Amber Heard and a Johnny Depp case, we aren't able to see right up in the courtroom, and we aren't able to give a honest analysis on whether this Mia character is giving an honest account of what is going on. Now, nobody in the room, I don't think anybody here can say that we don't think that Diddy is capable of abusing his partner, that Diddy is not capable of using his influence to navigate his love life. We aren't able to say any of these kind of things. But at the end of the day, what I want to really boil down, I'm not defending Diddy at all, is if we are proving whether the things that he is being charged for, which is X trafficking and utilizing business funds to do said X trafficking and to create an enterprise from it. Now, I understand that right now we're building a case and I want to hear absolutely everything, but it's seeming more so that he's a consistent domestic abuser. Not to say that he shouldn't be on some type of trial, but is this the right type of trial for him? Let's get back into the facts, y'all. I'm just here to report the info and see what we think about it.
Brian Steele, one of Sean Combs' attorneys, asked her a lot of questions about November 4th. What's the significance of that date?
That's Sean Combs' birthday. It's also the day that Mia testified she was first sexually assaulted by Sean Combs. She said it happened at the Plaza Hotel here in New York City when they were in the penthouse. She said Combs pulled her alone into the kitchen, put his hand up her dress and forcibly kissed her when she did not want him to. And so defense attorney Brian Steele then questioned why she would send Combs all of these birthday wishes. There would be these photo collages. There was even one handwritten happy 45th birthday Puff Daddy and a long handwritten note flattering Sean Combs for all that he had accomplished. And Steele kept coming back to, this was a date that stuck in your mind. And Mia resisted a bit. She said, I knew the date to be Sean Combs' birthday, but she didn't think about it as the date of her first sexual assault.
Prosecutors asked Mia today about the time she was suspended from her job for Sean Combs. Tell us about that.
She was suspended from the job.
Sean Combs
is trying to prove that he was using his power as her boss to force her into sexually explicit situations.
Suspended her on several occasions, she said, and often it occurred without explanation. And the only thing that she could think was that it happened after Combs was violent with her, or she witnessed violence and somehow reacted to it, either ran away or tried to hide. And she told the jury about some of these, what she considered to be specious reasons for being suspended. And when she would try to reach out, it was almost as if she was getting an eye roll. She showed the jury some messages with D-Rock, one of Combs' bodyguards, after he said, what happened? And she said, Sean Combs just got mad about her not laying out the right workout clothes.
Okay, so this is what we're getting from Mia. And as we know that a lot of this stuff is coming up, and I said this in my very first video about this Puffy case, that it won't last too long for too much stuff to get aired out, because guess what? The person who was in a lot of the stuff that he had going on was our president today. So that pardon that's been coming up in people's talks, for surely Trump is going to give it to him. And I'm such a small channel that you guys will let it slip under the rug, but I've been telling you, he will surely. The moment it touches anything close to your president, I bet you, without a reasonable doubt, that case will be shut down. No questions asked. And he'll be back out on the streets. He might not be the same Diddy he was before, but he will be out. And not only is this so freaking crazy that we've even spun it back to the past that we're talking about. You even know his name. Yeah, we're talking about Suge Knight. Suge Knight is coming up in the Diddy
Sean
cases.
Combs sex trafficking trial
So
enters a fourth week of testimony as we hear from Suge Knight, Combs' rap rival, whose name has come up often at the trial. Dan Abrams is standing by. We're going to talk to him after chiefing.
I really want to hear what Suge Knight had to say, because if y'all don't know, they think that Suge Knight was involved in the Tupac shooting. And Suge will tell you that Diddy was the one that set that whole thing up. So we're going to see what they have to say, because Suge has always been a vocal person from his jail cell, which is very crazy.
Investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky gives us this report from the courthouse. Good morning, Aaron.
And good morning to you, George. Long before federal prosecutors put Sean Combs on trial here, his chief hip-hop competitor told us that Combs was known in the industry for some of the very conduct that could now put him in prison.
Can't nobody hold me down. Oh, no.
This morning, as a fourth week of testimony begins in the Sean Combs trial in New York, his West Coast rival and Death Row Records founder Suge Knight is speaking out from behind bars in California, telling ABC News Combs' sexual appetites were an open secret beginning in the 1990s.
Everybody knew that. Puffy didn't just pop in the industry and say, hey, I want to have sex with everybody.
The rivalry between Combs and Knight, notoriously marked by the shooting deaths of Biggie Smalls and Knight's artist Tupac Shakur, has come up at trial. Capricorn Clark became Combs' assistant after working for Knight and testified that on her first day, Combs took her to Central Park. He told me he didn't know that I had anything to do with Suge Knight, and if anything happened, he would have to kill me.
A lot of people might say, well, Capricorn could have did anything else she wanted to do. She did try. If you go get a job at Universal and probably make a phone call, you're not getting that job. If you go get a job at a talent agency or in the movie business and probably make that call, your career is over.
Knight has come up during trial at least 50 times.
So what he's saying will correlate to something I want to talk about later, but it has to do with Kid Cudi, because in reference to his small stint with dating Cassie, because if you really know Kid Cudi, he made his really big debut with I'm in the Pursuit of Happiness and stuff like that. That was featured on so many movies at the time of the early 2010s that it was absolutely insane. And he had the trajectory to go all the way up to the top, and then his time dating Cassie caused him to pretty much put a halt to that. And I know that he did do some stuff with the Wizard. I wasn't really a fan of that, I'll be honest. But Suge Knight is being real about what he's saying. One call and that could end it, because Diddy got himself to that point. But it's funny because you wouldn't have thought that Diddy would have been somebody that's powerful, but he was smart. He was Machiavellian with it. When you really have power, you want to be the quiet person that nobody's really paying attention to. And for the longest time, we knew Diddy was a freak, but we wasn't out here trying to check on what these freak-offs was really going through. Because at the end of the day, and this is what I have a point of contention with, is that, yeah, Diddy was a freaky frog. That's his business. Because if you were to do whatever you find sexually proclivative, is that everybody else's business? So I do definitely have a point of contention with the fact that he's an abuser, yes. But do we need to air out all the sexual things that he found arousing? We don't need to know. We don't need to know all of the dirty laundry. We just need to know the facts that would cause him to go to jail.
Testified he once spotted Knight at Mel's Diner in Los Angeles and was then forced to accompany Combs, who he said was armed, to confront him.
If there's anything suggesting that I was doing anything illegal, I'm going to say definitely not.
Knight, who spoke to us from a California prison where he's serving time for a fatal hit and run, expressed some sympathy for Combs.
I don't feel that they should take Puffy and lock him up and throw away the key. I think he can do so much good right now. Him telling the truth about the industry.
And despite their long-standing rivalry, Suge Knight told us he does not hate Sean Combs.
See, so that's getting back into what we were talking about with the Mia, but let's jump in and find out about the Kid Cudi situation.
As testimony continued into week 3 of Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking.
And yeah, as you can see, we're kind of going backwards through it because I want to give you the most up-to-date stuff, but I'm also going to jump down at the end. So make sure you hit that like button and hit the subscribe button for me, because at the end of this, I'm going to make sure that I show you what happened all today while in court, because court is over now, but we're going to go hour by hour and tell you the biggest hits that happened today with Diddy.
Trafficking and racketeering trial, the music mogul's former assistant recalled what she witnessed during her time working for Combs. Capricorn Clark took the stand May 27th, and the rap mogul's former assistant, who worked for Combs on and off from 2004 to 2020, told the court she witnessed him assault his then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, including after he learned about her romance with rapper Kid Cudi, whose real name is Scott Muscudi, in 2011. Clark testified per NBC News. He came at her 100% full force. He repeatedly kicked her. Each kick, she would crouch more and more into a fetal position.
So Cudi was a witness to all of the abuse that was also happening to Cassie. And that's really crazy because she was going through it and all these people were a witness to it. And nobody was really saying anything. It's just now, literally over 10 years later, that it's coming to light. And I do feel extremely, extremely bad that happened to Cassie. So my condolences for this situation, for sure.
She added, he said if I jump in, he was going to me up too. Clark also stated that she helped Ventura buy a burner phone for her relationship with Muscudi out of fear for her safety. She also noted that she didn't call the authorities amid the assault, but contacted Ventura's mom, Regina Ventura, during the incident. Clark testified, I told her mom, I said, he's beating the out of your daughter. I'm in over my head. Please help her. I can't call the police, but you can. She said, I'll handle it, and we hung up. She alleged that Combs had fired her in 2012 for not telling him about Ventura and Muscudi's relationship, arguing that...
So that's why he fired Capricorn. And Capricorn, I'm not sure, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but is Capricorn Cassie's mom?
She lost everything, including her health insurance, 401k retirement savings, her car, and her credit cards. Clark told jurors, he said I would never work again, and all these people weren't my friends. He would make me kill myself. Clark said she returned to the fold as creative director for Ventura from 2016 until 2018. Clark alleged that after Combs found out that Ventura and Muscudi had been dating, he went to the rapper's home with a gun on December 22, 2011. She testified, he just said, get dressed. We're going to go kill Muscudi. I said, I don't want to go. And he said, I don't give a what you want to do. He was livid, furious, mad at me. I had never seen anything like this before. I never saw him come to my house. I never saw him with a weapon. Clark said that she allegedly called Ventura.
And I just want y'all to know, on Kid Cudi's rise to fame, something that they don't talk about, Kid Cudi was really going through it because a lot of his music was made to honor the loss of his father. So just imagine you lost your father and then, you happen to try to find something that levels you out, like makes you find like peace and happiness. You find a woman you think you like, but obviously she messing with the wrong one and he about to come and end you because she's happier with you. This is why they tell you to watch who you're dealing with and always ask those right type of questions, because ain't no way in the world you about to get me laid out by no damn Diddy who get it from the back, bro.
Ventura to let her know that Combs brought her with a gun to Cudi's house to kill him. She also accused Combs of threatening to kill her and Ventura. Clark said that the incident took place after the rap mogul allegedly broke into Muscudi's home, recalling, he was very angry, he was very upset. He said, I should kill you b****s and I should cut her face. On May 28th, Judge Aaron Subramanian swiftly denied the defense's May 28th request for a mistrial. Combs' team objected to testimony from arson investigator Lance Jimenez, a prosecution witness called to speak about Kid Cudi's car being set on fire in January 2012, after the official said that...
And you know what's crazy about this? I really don't like this, but this happened on my birthday, right? This incident right here happened on my birthday, but Kid Cudi said that Diddy set his damn car on fire and then did this shit right here. And watched his ass through the flames, y'all. What? That's what he was saying he had to do out there. That's what was going down in there, man. That's what they said he was doing. He went in there, set my boy car on fire, and then was watching it burn through the flames, y'all. If that ain't some diabolical, evil movie-ish, I don't know what it is, but we gonna see.
Fingerprints lifted during the investigation had been destroyed. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo argued that the testimony about the lost fingerprints should be stricken from the record because it suggested that someone in the court was responsible for the destruction. The judge sustained Agnifilo's objection, but denied co-counsel Alexandra Shapiro's move for a mistrial. As celebrity stylist Deontay Nash took the stand during Week 3, he shared insight into the brief romance between Michael B. Jordan and Cassie Ventura. Nash explained of their budding romance during cross-examination.
Now, wait a minute. I didn't know he went at Michael B. Jordan, too. See, Cassie was out here. When did he date Cassie? I'm not somebody who's up to date on the celebrity relationships.
Dating, talking, getting to know each other. He also testified that he did hook up Ventura with the Black Panther star in 2015 after the singer split from Combs. A former personal assistant of Combs, who went by the pseudonym Mia during her testimony, alleged on the stand that the rap mogul had sexually assaulted her multiple times while working for him.
So they brought up Mia quite a lot. So let's get into this part too, because like I told you guys, ain't no way in the world.
I would certainly look at the facts.
Donald Trump addresses.
This man ain't going to listen. Donald is definitely without a damn reason of a doubt going to pardon him. Listen, because he was there during the Jennifer times. So believe me, if Diddy had been doing it, that's where it probably got started, around the Jennifer times or after the Jennifer times. Let's get into it though. Let's see what Trump has to say, because I know
whether he pardoned Sean Diddy Combs amid the rapper's federal trial for sex trafficking and racketeering currently underway in New York. The president shared insight into his former friendship with Combs and whether he'd issue a pardon if he's convicted. Trump told reporters during an Oval Office event alongside Elon Musk May 30th in response to a question about a possible Combs pardon, "I know people are thinking about it. First of all, I'd look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage." As for where the president currently stands with the Bad Boy Records founder, he said, "I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, that relationship sort of busted up from what I read. I don't know. He didn't tell me that. I read some nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden." Despite where they may stand on a personal level, Trump added,
I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact.
Trump's comments on a potential Combs pardon come just days after the president pardoned Todd Chrisley and Julie Chrisley for their tax evasion crimes. The duo, who entered prison in early 2023, had been set to remain incarcerated until 2032 and 2028, respectively, before they were released May 28th on order of the president.
Now listen, if he gave them a pardon, sure enough, Diddy getting a pardon. So now as we try to wrap this one up, because I don't want to waste you guys' time too much, and I know you got something else you might want to get into. I'm going to show you guys all the stuff that they found at the Diddy Mansion. First off, so these are the exhibits that we got. So this is obviously the Johnson & Johnson over here. This Pro Glide is elite lubrication for adults. They got Diddy 3 phones and some rubber boots and some rolls. Now, if you want to see everything, I'm going to leave the link down in the description, but I can't show you everything. The next clip is actually something that will get me demonetized, and I don't want to get shut down. I'm trying to show you guys the best possible, but let's get into everything that is going on. So right here, I have all the up-to-date things happening in the courthouse live. So we have the first hour to get back to the Sean Diddy case. Okay, so we jump on in, and now we hear the stuff that went on with the baby oil. So Jane told the jurors how a whirlwind romance opened a Pandora's box of X sessions with male escorts she didn't hope to be into and didn't know how to stop. She alleged that the bad boy founder coerced her into participating in the drug-filled debauchery nights throughout their relationship, which began 2021 and ended in his arrest 2024. Now, a lot of y'all reading this, myself included, feel like, well, she only made this opportune moment in her life because he was going down and she wanted her little piece of the pie as the ship goes down. But let's read a little bit more deeply. She began her evidence shortly after Judge Aran Subar, listen, I'm not going to say this right, but Subramanian, okay, issued a warning to Combs' lawyers after seeing the rapper, like I said, nodding vigorously towards the jury during earlier testimony. So pretty much he was over there like, so the judge warned he would take steps to remove the defendant from the courtroom if the total unaccepted behavior happens again during the trial. Jane told the court that she agreed to having sex with a male ex-worker because she wanted to make Combs happy, and even felt excited after doing so for the first time because she had done something taboo. So this is where it's going to be a very hard thing to talk about in court. But she said she said that she thought it was a one-off, but it excuse me. She thought it was a one-off, but she thought it was a one-off, but that it set the tone going forward. Asked if this was what she wanted. She said it wasn't, but that was what she went along with because I loved him at this point. So, as they continued their relationship, she said to him many times, but he would dismiss her, make her feel uncomfortable, or seemingly threaten to stop paying her rent. So you could have just gotten a job to pay your own rent. I'm not trying to be a dick about this, guys. I'm just trying to be real, because if you have your own money to pay your rent, then he wouldn't have the power over you, but you wanted to not pay your rent. So it was an exchange for goods. It would be the same. But if it's not negotiated that way, who knows, guys? Jane said these encounters were referred to as debauchery or hotel nights, and they always followed with the same patterns: hotel suites, red lights, music, lotion, and alcohol. There would be bed sheets covering everything, blankets and towels, because the excessive use of baby oil everywhere. She said she would have drugs in her system and wear provocative lingerie and high-heel stripper shoes. And Combs would ask her to pour the baby oil on the men and herself. These sessions typically lasted 24 hours to 30 hours with no sleep. Well, I hope he gave you water, because shit, he was thirsty. Fuck. Golly. Okay, so here's a reminder of the charges, and this is from 8 hours ago, y'all, 8 in the morning. They got him for racketeering, 2 counts of trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Okay, so the rapper was initially charged with 3 offenses: racketeering, work, and transporting to engage in X work. 2 counts, one of each X trafficking and transportation to engage in X work were added in April. Okay. But Sean has pleaded not guilty to all charges. And what these charges mean, now this is where it's really important. So make sure you lock in on this part right here. Racketeering, excuse me, got the hiccups. Ooh. Racketeering broadly means engaging in an illegal scheme or enterprise, and the charge falls under the Racketeering Influence and Corporate Organization Act, RICO, in the U.S. According to the U.S. According to the U.S. Department's definition of a RICO statute, it is also illegal to conspire to violate the law. The prosecution alleges that between 2008 and 2024, Combs led a racketeering conspiracy that engaged in X trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice, among many other crimes. He faces between 15 years and life in prison if found guilty. So now court gets in session. Jane takes the stand. Now we're going to get into something that's a little bit more meatier. Okay, so now as Jane is on the stand, she says Combs didn't want to see me. She says at 9:23 a.m. that Combs didn't want to see a rubber while watching me have X with the other men. She tells the jurors, okay? So as Jane begins giving evidence, she is asked questions by prosecutor Moraine Comey. By prosecutor Moraine Comey. Comey asked about when Diddy would use the word freak. Jane would say it is the word the rapper would use to describe her, adding like he wants his freak. He wanted me to be wild and sexual, she tells the jurors. Combs then asks Jane about what protection would be used during hotel nights. None, she replied. My partner did not want it. She asked Combs if the entertainer could wear condoms or on more than one occasion. He responded almost incensed, guilt-tripped out of it. Almost it wasn't something that he wanted. He wanted it to move on from the subject. It wasn't something that was going to happen, so stop asking, she says. He said he didn't want to see a rubber while he was watching. Then they have Jane weeping in court as she describes her time at the hotel night. She describes her typical visits at a hotel night and explains that she takes a shower and puts on a different outfit. Then the prosecutor asks how many rounds of X would she go through in a typical hotel night. I would say every time's different. Maybe sometimes it would be one round with one, or it could be up to 3 with another. Sean would decide, and he decided on entertainers. When asked whether she got tired during these nights, she replied yes. Jane became emotional in court and began sobbing when asked who would decide whether she could stop. She says Sean. She then went on to say, you're not going to get tired on me, are you? He went on to say, you're not going to get tired on me, are you? When would you, when she would communicate that she wanted to stop? Still sobbing, she tells the jurors she would be given multiple doses of E by Combs to keep her awake. Jane recalls one hotel night ending up lasting 18 hours. And this is just, it goes on. It's dark, sleazy, and makes me feel disgusted with myself. Court is shown texting Diddy telling she wanted the X sessions to end. I don't want to feel, I didn't want it to feel like it was too real, Jane says, as she had to take drugs to make things easier. Combs wanted me to throw up after sex with 2 men, then said, let's go. 3rd guy is here. God, these are crazy. Jane tells the juror that Diddy would not do. Excuse me. Jane tells jurors what Diddy would do when he ran out of drugs during hotel nights. Jane explains that how she picked up the white envelope of drugs and put it in luggage for Combs. And then at 11 this morning, we see Sean Puffy Combs' mother, Janice Combs, coming to Manhattan to meet with the lawyers, and I'm pretty sure she's going to be on the stand. I'm pretty sure she will be on the stand soon. I didn't want to be surprised by a stranger, Jane explains to entertainers. This is very crazy. So Jane recalls being repulsed by entertainers who were really sweaty and smelled. So he had even dirty people there. They had a lunch break. All of this stuff is here on the web. I'm not going to go through absolutely everything. So as you can see, they even had some stuff of his guns. So Jane says Diddy made her apologize to an entertainer after storming out of a hotel on his birthday makeup trip. After Jane fought with Combs following her birthday in 2023, it ended in a hotel night. The rapper continued to call and text her. She tells jurors she scheduled a trip for Paris for Fashion Week, and it was the first time she had gone on a solo trip in over 2 years. But after a few hours before her flight, Jane says Combs repeatedly texted her and called her phone 30 times in a row. After she got back from Paris, she began talking to Combs again, adding he was adamant we should see each other, baby. I missed him as well. Jane says that Combs told her to visit Miami so he could arrange a birthday makeup trip, and testifies that they planned a trip to Turks and Caicos. On the second day of that trip, Paul, an entertainer, arrived at the hotel. I remember it was really painful, and me and Paul tried to Okay. I'm going to read this out, not how it's read, because it's going to make me sound crazy. I remember it was really painful when me and Paul tried to have sex. I really couldn't. It was really sore at this point, she tells jurors. She says that Sean got very upset. He threw a bracelet he had given her against the wall and tried to storm out the villa. Jane adds that Combs had her apologize to Paul. Goodness me. So this is from 8 minutes ago. So this is the wrap up to everything that happened for the day. So what you need to do, this is all you need to know after the 18-day trial. You can scroll down to catch up, but they had Jane begin to give her evidence, telling jurors that Combs will become incensed, and talked about entertainers not wearing condoms. She talks about her times recounting hotel nights, how emotional she was in court, and having to take multiple doses of E to keep herself awake during the nights of the longest sessions. And it's a whole bunch of stuff, guys. And as you can see, they give you up to date, like by the hour, everything that's going on in the courtroom. And I really, 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 more than anything, want you guys to come down in those comments. Tell me what you really think about all that's going on with this Diddy trial. Do you think that he's guilty of what they're charging him with? Now, I'm not saying that he's not a guilty person. Obviously, he's guilty, and I think that we all agree on that. But are they getting him for the right thing? And do you think that he's going to get off for this? Do you think that Diddy's going down? And if he does go down, is he going down for life, or is he going down with a minimal charge while throwing somebody else down the creek? And as always, my good people, I just want you to live as long as you want, never want as long as you live, and always squeeze the best juice out of life. And if you can, my good people, just hit that like button for me if you've gotten this far, and hit the subscribe if you're new here. And believe me, I will be having a lot more updates and things coming to you. But for now, peace. And as we get up out of here, I know that you've been seeing all of this. And make sure you tap into my next video coming out, because we're going to be talking about everything that's going on with Donald Trump and the Elon Musk. And Black Twitter is saying that somebody might have been getting their cheese claps between the both of them. But we're going to see. Holla at your boy on the next episode of Juice the Squeeze Pod.